Greetings, fellow scientists. My name is Karina, and I'm a member of the Saskatchewan Science Center's Go Science Outreach team. Today, we're discussing the moon and its many phases. The moon isn't just a beautiful aspect of our night sky, but it's also one of nature's timekeepers. The moon is on a 28-day cycle, which is called the moon cycle, and that's exactly what we're going to be studying today. The moon is one of my favorite things to talk about when we talk about space, because our moon is actually pretty special. Earth is the only planet in our solar system to only have one moon. The other planets either have no moons at all or have lots of moons. Saturn alone has 82 discovered moons, all with their own names. However, our moon is special because our moon's name is simply Moon. The moons of other planets have their own individual names, but we recognize our moon as being the first moon that we ever discovered. The first thing we need to do is bust a small myth. I'm here to tell you that even though the moon does light up our sky, it actually doesn't create light. It only reflects it. That's right. The moon doesn't create light, like stars, but reflects. It's because of this fact that we get the phases of the moon. The moon reflects the sun's light differently based on the positions of the moon, the sun, and the earth. Now, I can't fit the moon in this room to show you the different phases, so I thought a sweeter solution might be perfect. We're going to study the moon using these sandwich cookies. These cookies can be used to show the visible and shaded parts of the moon at any given time. We start with a new moon. New moons are in complete darkness, but that doesn't mean that the moon disappears, but that because of its position, it doesn't reflect any of the sun's light back to Earth. On nights with a new moon, the sky can seem really dark. When we start to see a little sliver of a moon, like this, we call it a waxing crescent. And about a week after the new moon, the waxing crescent will turn into a waxing half. When the moon looks like this, it's referred to by a few different names. Sometimes it's called the first quarter moon, but it's also called a half moon. When the half moon gets pretty full, but the full moon isn't quite visible, it's called a waxing gibbous. A waxing gibbous is about 3/4 of a full moon. So when we can see the entire moon from Earth, we know it's called a full moon. Nights with a full moon are often very bright because there's more sunlight being reflected back to Earth. Sometimes the full moon goes by different names. You may have heard of a blue moon, which is what we call the second full moon in a calendar month. This is very rare, which is why we sometimes say when things are unlikely to happen, that they might happen once in a blue moon. A supermoon is a moon that appears bigger than normal based on its position compared to Earth. When the moon is at its closest point compared to Earth, and it's in its full state, then it's a supermoon. A harvest moon is a full moon that happens at the start of fall. Before the times of electricity, harvest moons were important, and still are, for farmers who wanted to harvest their crops late into the night and needed the light that the moon reflected to see. When a full moon starts to get smaller, it's now called a waning gibbous. The word wane means to decrease in power or energy, so that makes sense that we use this word to talk about a moon that's slowly getting smaller. Now, when we can only see the left half of the moon, much like when we only saw the right half, this can be called a half moon. However, it's also called the waning half, or a third quarter moon. After that, we get a waning crescent, which will slowly turn back into a new moon. A new moon always signals that we are back at the beginning of the moon cycle. The whole cycle takes 28 days, and then it begins again. We hope that you enjoyed this demonstration, and hopefully the moon seems a little less mysterious now. You can also check out other neat experiments by visiting us online at sasksciencecenter.com. Until then, stay curious, fellow scientists. Such a good moon.